kitchen.
Hello and happy holidays, everybody.
Hello, thanks for joining us tonight. Dilip, I love your hats, very festive.
Thank you. So, because it's the festive season, some of us celebrate Christmas, some celebrate Hanukkah, some celebrate Diwali or Eid, or any number of other holidays. But, Cody, this is a time when we do a lot of cooking and entertaining, right?
Yes, definitely.
How was your Thanksgiving?
It was great. How about yours?
Well, I host the country's biggest vegan Thanksgiving and went wonderfully. We were on TV as usual, and we had lots of people and lots of great food.
That's awesome.
I have a quick story to share about Thanksgiving. Something really interesting happened. There was this young lady in her 20s who got stranded in Durham, North Carolina. She was on her way to Alabama, where she's from. And so she posted on social media and she said, I'm in Durham and I'm vegan and gluten free. Where do I eat? Her car was under repair for like 4 days.
Hmm.
And then they told her, you're in the place where the country's biggest vegan Thanksgiving is. And so she reached out, came, and actually the day after Thanksgiving, I picked her up and gave her a tour of the area, and
Oh,
she
wow.
fell in love. She said she wants to maybe come back. So,
Awesome. Well, what a cool way to meet someone new and that shares the same passion for eating great vegan food, right?
and so in that regard, we've been at it for how long, Cody, doing these So Many Cooks shows, and we should take a moment and say what is So Many Cooks in the Kitchen.
Yeah, so let's see, it's been four years, more than 4 years, right? Because
I
it
think
started
so.
early spring of 2020. So yeah, we started back then, and oh my goodness, we have so many wonderful shows. But we are just a bunch of fun food for life instructors, and most of us are in the U.S. There's one in Abu Dhabi, and we like to get together once a month and pick a different topic, and we do kitchen to kitchen, delicious, nutritious recipes. And it's been so much fun. We've really developed a lot of great friendships by doing this, and we love sharing our recipes, which are free to anybody that wants them. And we also have this fantastic registered dietitian, Brenda Davis, who does a great nutrition write-up for all of our recipes. And Jonan is so kind to also type up all of our recipes, and we have a great document that gets out there to everybody. So look on our website, also look on YouTube and our Facebook, and you can find all those resources.
And so to that effect, we have so many recipes. We actually have a search function now. So we decided last year, instead of doing a show in November and December, we decided to do a holiday reprise. And last year, I think we did 4 of them. This year, we're doing 3 of them. And so the reprises are, we'll be here answering questions if there are any questions, but we're going to run some old footage from previous shows. And so this year we have different curators. So Cody's curating, and so let's find out a bit from yeah, I guess you've already covered what So Many Cooks is. So those of
Mhm.
you who've been watching for a long time, welcome back. And if you're new, we're so glad that you're watching us. But after Cody describes the show, we'll go ahead and be behind the scenes, and it's about a half an hour show. And then we'll pop back in briefly for a few minutes if there's any remaining questions. But we'll be behind the scenes answering questions. But remember, the videos are all pre-recorded. They've all been done in years past. So Cody, you're the curator for this show. Tell us what to expect.
Sure. So our presenters today is Dilip, and he's going to be making in his demonstration an orange rice pudding. And I am going to be demonstrating along with my oldest daughter, Ava, this was 2 years ago, and now she's taller than me. So I think in this demo, I think I'm still got some height on her. So Ava and I are going to be making a pecan sandies recipe. And then Suzanne Fellows is going to make a cheese spread. And then we have John Ann, who's going to make some date sweets. So it's just 4 demos. So it's going to be, like you said, only like 30 minutes, but it's going to be some of the fun recipes for the holiday season. And we hope that you'll enjoy them.
And I have to say, I've made your pecan sandies. Right after you made them, my daughter and I made them a couple times, at least twice, maybe more. And it's easy and so tasty. So I like doing these reprises because it reminds me of things I'd like to make again. So I've got to make your pecan sandies. I think I
Yeah,
will over the holidays. So
yeah. We can make them together sometime, just on
oh,
Zoom.
that'd be great. That'd be
Yeah,
great. And speaking of being together, we'll wait till after the show and we'll tell you a little bit about the next show where we will actually be together.
yeah,
So let's roll the tape and we will be behind the scenes, ask any questions, and we will see you in about half an hour for just a couple minutes of live Q&A. So enjoy. So a lot of people are familiar with rice pudding, and it can be an unhealthy dish. The way I make it is quite healthy. It's very low in fat and tasty. So I came up with this idea, why do we boil rice in water? Why not boil it in something else? And if you've seen some of my past shows, you may remember that I'm a citrus fiend. I love citrus. And so I started making this rice dish in orange juice or tangerine juice. I love tangerine juice especially. Now I wanted to take a moment before I cook to talk about rice. A few years ago, rice was in the news, and it turns out because of our non-organic farming practices, especially in places like where I live in the south, further south than I am, cotton, a lot of times they would use pesticides, and the pesticides would have arsenic. And the arsenic got in the water, and foods like rice were very susceptible to arsenic. And it turns out that brown rice is more susceptible than white rice because the arsenic would lodge in the outer germ and bran layers. And so this is the recommendation, and I'm using this from the Food Revolution Network, and there's a writer for the Food Revolution Network, and we'll post the link, Lindsay Oberst. And my good friend Brenda Davis, she's one of my favorite nutritionists, she pointed me to Lindy Oberst's work and this article, which we will share, about what to do about rice. Do we give up eating rice? Do we stop eating brown rice, eating white rice? Brown rice is a much better choice. It's a whole food, and I recommend the brown rice. But what do we do about arsenic? So in Lindsay's article, she recommended cooking rice not the traditional way. Traditionally, with brown rice, you rinse the rice, you put it in a pot, you put 1.5 times as much water or vegan broth, a little bit of salt for the boiling point elevation. You bring it to a rolling boil, and then you cover and simmer it for 45, 50 minutes. But the way we're going to prepare rice, or that I have prepared rice, is the way that Lindsay Oberst of the Food Revolution Network recommends. And that is, you can parboil it. So you soak the rice for 48 hours, if you remember, if not 24 hours or overnight, or for a few hours. The more you soak it, the better, because arsenic is water soluble. And then you get rid of the water. And then the parboil method says you put water in, you bring it to a boil, get rid of the water, put fresh water in with the typical ratio, and then you cook it the way you normally do. What I do is I soak the rice for overnight or 2 days, get rid of the water, and then I cook it like pasta. I put plenty of water in my pot, bring it to a boil, and I don't cover it. And I let it boil, and as I notice the water gets a little lower, I can put some more water in. And then after about 40 minutes or so, at that point I cover it and I reduce the heat, and then I get my rice. The benefit of that is you get a good portion of the arsenic gone. Does it taste as good as the traditional way of making rice? I think it tastes almost as good, not quite as good. So today what I'm going to do, I'm going to adapt my orangey rice pudding. I'm not going to cook the rice in orange juice because I want to get rid of that arsenic. So I've already soaked the rice and I've already cooked it. I've cooked it for about 35 minutes, and at this point there's a little bit of water. It's all water, there's no orange juice. And I don't have salt. I put a little bit of salt and I rinse it away. I'm going to go to the sink, there's just a little bit of extra water, and I'm going to dump out the water, just a little bit. So there was a little bit of water left, and you can see my pot now. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the juice of 2 oranges. So there's my beautiful orange juice. I've squeezed 2 oranges. And I'm going to put this in, like so. Again, the way I used to do this is I used to boil it in orange juice, and it adds even more flavor. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to go ahead and simmer it a little bit more. And I'm going to go ahead and add some raisins at this point. Okay, so here's some raisins that go in. I'm going to add some cloves as well. And I'm going to add some cinnamon sticks. So there go 2 cinnamon sticks. I have vanilla. I'm not going to add that yet. Vanilla is it's volatile, so it's a good ingredient to add later. But you can optionally add some cinnamon, some ground cinnamon. So I'll do that as well. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just mix it in a bit. And you can already smell, it smells really nice. Have nice citrus flavors, citrus fragrance. Okay. And notice there's no sweetener so far. There's no sweetener, just the raisins. Okay. Okay. I'm going to speed things up a little bit. The rice is done because I cooked it already. And if you have time, you can let the citrus cook in a bit more and then add rice, the milk after a little while, but I'm going to add the milk now. Now, what I'm going to use for milk, you can get a variety of plant-based milks. This is an oat milk, vanilla. This one is not unsweetened. I picked this up by accident. I like to get unsweetened milks, but you can get some oat milk if you want. You can get some soy milk. I like this brand. This is the brand I use. There's a few brands. Eden Soy makes one I like as well to make my own homemade yogurt, vegan yogurt, soy yogurt. But I could use this. I could use my homemade milk. I could use cashew milk. I could use almond milk. But today I'm going to use macadamia milk. This was on sale. This is unsweetened vanilla. So I'm going to add some of this. And in the handout we have all the recipes are available for free download. We will post the link. But the handout talks about how much you want to use, but it's roughly half a container. So I'm going to go ahead and put half a container in. I love this dish. It's really tasty, and it allows me to enjoy rice again in spite of the warnings of arsenic. And here's one more thing about arsenic I wanted to mention, is the recommendation is to try to cut back your rice to once a week. Now, everything we do has its risk and reward, and you might say, Dilip, I've grown up with rice, and I can't bear to not have rice every day. Well, if you need to, keep eating rice, but the recommendation is to do it once a week. And there's so many other kinds of grains you can get, and you can get pseudo grains like quinoa. Quinoa is treated like a grain. It's actually a seed. There's amaranth. There's wild rice, which is actually a grass. There's many kinds of grains out there. Couscous. So try mixing it up. Try some additional kinds of grains. But then, as I said, try these techniques to mitigate the arsenic. And so you can see now the milk is in here and it's going to cook down. This is actually done. What I would normally do at this point is I'd add some vanilla, but I'm not going to add the vanilla because I'm actually going to keep cooking it after my segment's done. But normally I'd add some vanilla. You can also add some orange flavor to make it even more orangey. So I'm also not going to do that. Okay? So let me get rid of the bowl so I don't bang into it. So there's the rice pudding's looking pretty good. And this is what yours will look like. If you let it cook for a few more minutes, it won't be, the moisture will all be cooked into the rice. But I'm going to go ahead and serve it, let it still cook. And let's plate it. So I'm going to leave the moisture behind. It smells really good. There are nice bits of cinnamon and the citrus, of course. Okay, I'm just going to give myself a little bit because I want to cook it down a little bit more. Okay, so there you go. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of cocoa. And if you do use cocoa powder, be aware that chocolate and cocoa sometimes is not fair trade grown. They sometimes use children for growing cocoa and chocolate. So make sure it's organic and fair trade is what I recommend. So I'm going to go ahead and sprinkle some on. And add just a little. One thing in my cooking I like to do is I like to have nuances of different flavors. And one of the things, I've been working at this, teaching classes at this Turkish center where I am right now, is I've recently become good friends with a new ingredient. It's organic pomegranate molasses. I haven't added any sweetener so far, the raisins. I'm going to add just a little bit of this molasses. This pomegranate molasses works really well in savory dishes too. It adds a nice kind of contrasting flavor. So I'm going to put a little bit of the molasses, and it adds very little bit of sugar, very little bit of sweetness. Okay? And then you can optionally add a little bit of slivered almond. I didn't have slivered, I had thinly sliced almond, and that's fine. So you can add a little bit just for some crunch, and you don't need this. It does add a teeny bit of fat, but not much. So let's add a little bit of the almond. And then for some decadence, I'm going to add some saffron. Saffron is one of the most expensive ingredients, but it's neat. You use such a tiny amount, and it adds just a little bit of color, and it's a nice concentrated flavor. I love saffron. I don't use it often. And one more thing you can do is you can add some citrus peel, which I'll go ahead and do. So I have some of the orange that I used for the, to squeeze. Now, when you do this, you can use a variety of tools. You can use a variety of graters, microplaners, things like that. But what I'm going to use, I'm just going to use a nice paring knife. And what I'll do is, my goal, and I did some earlier, is to avoid the white part, the pith. It's bitter. You want just the colored part. And you want to do this with organic fruit. So I'm going to shave this. I'm going to try to be thin to avoid the white part. It's just a nice touch. It adds kind of like a marmalade feel, because marmalade does have strips of citrus. Okay, so I'll just do a few. And then what I'll do is I'll cut this into thin pieces. Okay. And then, you can even dehydrate this. It's kind of fun to have slightly crispy citrus peel. So I'm going to take my pudding, and I'm going to also add some of these strips as garnish. And I'll go ahead and take the cinnamon stick. Orangey rice pudding.
Hi, Ava. Hi, everyone. This is my daughter, Ava. She's 13, and she's going to be joining us today for a cooking demo. Thanks for joining me.
Oh, I'm so excited for us to be cooking together.
Oh, I love cooking with you. Some of my favorite memories are with us cooking together. You want to tell everybody what we're going to make today?
Pecan sandies.
Yeah, and these are so good, you guys. I am so thrilled to share this with you. Now, the thing is, with this recipe, there is a lot of nuts in it, so we want to keep that in mind. You don't just want to eat a whole bunch of them because, as we talk about in our shows, nuts do have a higher level of fat than other plant foods, so just keep that in mind. But they're still very delicious and nutritious for you. So, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get started, right, Ava?
Mm-hmm.
All right, what's our first ingredient we have?
We need toasted pecans. So we want to blend these up in the food processor.
And how long did we toast those for?
About 5 minutes.
Yep.
You don't actually need to toast them. Like, that's not a requirement for the recipe, but it makes it taste so much better. So you just want to pulse it for a little bit. I think that's pretty good. You just want like roughly chopped.
Great. All right. Let's see. And now we want to add in some almond flour. This is fine almond flour. We like this Bob's Red Mill, but whatever kind works best for you. And let's see, how much is this? 1 1/4 cup? Does that sound about right? Okay.
It has a little pinch of salt.
And we like to use iodized salt in my family because you need iodine for your thyroid.
All right. And this just needs pulse a little bit too to combine everything. There we go.
It's good. All right.
Smells even better.
Yes, these do smell good.
Toasted pecans are just so good and smelly. I could eat a whole thing of toasted pecans.
Take the
Who needs cookies, folks?
right. There we go. We gotta be careful with that blade. Luckily, you've ended up cooking. You're careful, aren't you?
Yeah. A little space in the middle.
All right. Now what's next?
A third cup of maple syrup.
Okay. Put that in there. I'll let you stir. And
First, we need some vanilla. This helps give the cookies a really nice flavor. Need 1 teaspoon.
let me hold it.
Sure.
Okay.
We have these beautiful measuring spoons. They were a gift from my grandma. Each of us girls have a set.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
Then you mix this.
That vanilla really adds something, doesn't it?
Mhm. There are also a lot of other fun things you could add these cookies. We put cinnamon in the batch we made earlier. That's really good too.
We also talked about possibly putting nutmeg into it. That would be another good alteration to it.
Yeah.
Or maybe even like some chopped dried fruit. Cranberries would be good in there. Whatever you want. Just be kind of fun to to jazz it up a little bit, I suppose, huh? Or you could do an ingredient and have someone guess what you put in there. I kind of like to do that sometimes too.
Yeah.
Do you do that too?
Yeah. Remember I made those surprise chickpea muffins? They're like jelly muffins.
Those are really good. All right. So you ready? So we're going to get a little ball size. So probably about a tablespoon, maybe 1.5 tablespoon amount. So just kind of eyeball it. We're pretty good at getting close to the spoon. Yep. How's yours looking?
Good. Mine's a little bigger.
Okay, I'll add a little more to mine. You want them close to the same size so they cook evenly.
But you can always kind of tell who made which one. I go on the bigger side because I think a lot of cookie and I goes on the smaller side.
Is that what you're doing? Well, I know your secret. You just kind of have to work it a little bit, don't you? Some of it get a little bit crumbly. So
The almond flour makes it pretty crumbly.
yeah. All right. And then I'm just going to show you how to squish them down a little bit. So you want to use like a nice flat glass, and it works great to put a piece of parchment paper underneath that glass and hold it in place. And then you're just going to gently kind of press down to about maybe a 1/2 inch thick of your cookie. I'll do a few of these, and then Ava, I'll let you put the finishing touches on top for you. Okay?
Yep.
Okay. And we don't have to do them all.
Yep. And then I'm going to wash my hands because this gets all over your hand.
Oh, I know. That's pretty sticky, isn't it, with that maple syrup?
You see, good thing we have the sinks down here.
Oh, I know. And be really handy for us, isn't it? Maybe all of our shows down here from now on. And you got a So Many Kids show coming up soon, don't you?
Yeah, I'm really excited for it. All right, and I'll go get the secret ingredients.
Boy, I have some right here for you. More pecans. More. Boy.
Oh, it's more pecan.
Always more pecan. Yeah, pecans are delicious. They're one of my favorite nuts. And the ones on top will toast a little bit too. All right. So we would just normally finish up the whole batch, and there's about 12 if you do about the size that we made. And we're going to put them in a preheated oven at 350 degrees. And I cooked ours for about 8 minutes, and that was perfect. And do you want to grab how
They're really fast cookies, which is great.
Yeah, we like fast cookies. We like our sweets.
Yeah, well, wait for the cookies.
And we do not want to wait. We want to eat cookies now. Oh my goodness, look at these. These turned out so good.
I just want them like a little golden on the edges.
And yeah, I'll break it apart so it's a little bit soft on the inside and a little bit crispy on the outside, which is like the perfect cookie for me, Hela.
A good cheese spread that is versatile is a great recipe to have on hand. And this recipe is just that. This recipe is also nut-free, which comes in very handy for making cheese and cracker sandwiches to send with your kids to school, like this one I have here. It's also great because the kids get to do it themselves, package it up themselves, and have cheese and crackers like many of their friends, but without the dairy. So this recipe today uses pumpkin seeds and sunflower seeds so that it is nut-free. And the first thing you're going to want to do is make sure that your nuts, or rather your seeds, are soft and ready to blend. So you can do that one of two ways. You can soak it overnight for somewhere between 8 and 12 hours is usually enough for the water to absorb by the seeds and for the seeds to then become soft. Or if you are in a little bit of a hurry or you forgot to soak your seeds, you can go ahead and boil them for about 12 to 15 minutes right on the stove. It'll soften them up nicely. And when I do that, I also reserve a little bit of that water to use in the recipe. So right here I have the pumpkin seeds and the sunflower seeds that have already been soaked. I'm going to go ahead and use just a half a recipe today because I've already made some here and I don't want to be wasteful, but I do want to show you how I make it. So right here I have a half a cup of sunflower seeds and a half a cup of pumpkin seeds already soaked. And I'm going to go ahead and add those to my blender. And then I'm going to add the water that I've already reserved from when I boiled my seeds. And so right here, I already have a half a cup. I'm just going to go ahead and add about a quarter of a cup. And I have some lemon juice that I like to purchase. Most of the time, I do like to use a fresh squeezed lemon, but sometimes it's just not available. And so lemon juice that's already juiced is also acceptable to use. And I'm going to also use about a quarter of a cup of the lemon juice. Just as a reminder, it's because this has already been cut in half. And the other thing that makes this recipe a little bit more unique than some of the other vegan cheese recipes that you'll find is that I use miso to create a creamy texture to the cheese. And so the recipe calls for 2 tablespoons. So again, I'm just going to go ahead and use 1. The trick to this recipe is really having a good blender. Here I have the Vitamix blender, which is a great blender. But even with it being so great, sometimes when you're trying to puree down a seed or something that's a little bit of a hardier texture, you do need to blend it and then scrape the sides. Blend it and scrape the sides, and blend it and scrape the sides. Now, what gives this recipe this great cheesy flavor is nutritional yeast. Nutritional yeast, it has a lot of good B vitamins. It's very healthy to use, and it's delicious. And so I'm going to go ahead and use 1 tablespoon as the recipe calls for 2. And garlic. So 1 teaspoon of garlic. One of the other great reasons I like this recipe is because you can make it ahead of time and put it in the refrigerator, and you can then mold it into a little silicone container if you wanted to make it heart-shaped, maybe to place on a charcuterie board. You can make it like a log and then make a cheese log. Maybe you can coat it with some extra crushed pumpkin seeds or crushed sunflower seeds. Or the other way to serve it is with some fig jam on top, which is also a really nice spread and a really good flavor. So I'm going to go ahead and put my lid on. I'm going to wait a couple minutes to add my dill. Sometimes if I add it too early, it gives it a brighter green color, which is also sometimes fun for kids to have a green cheese and cracker sandwich. So what we're going to do is just gently place it on low, and you'll see it'll start to light.
I apologize for the noise that it's going to make. You can keep turning it up. And the best way it'll blend down. That'll just give you a good idea.
And you could see it starting to get a little bit thicker and mixing a little bit better together. Eventually, you're going to get a better consistency, and it's going to become much thicker and much more spreadable. And once you also place it in the refrigerator, it becomes very thick.
So here we go. I had 2 recipes to share with you today, building up on the 4 I shared back in January. Let's start with the first one. It comes to us from the Minimalist Baker. I love their recipes. And this is a really easy one. You can do it in a jiffy. I use a small food processor. It's one of these little jobbies because here in Abu Dhabi, I don't have a big one. And it works with that even. So you have your dates. I'll remind you, all the recipes are in our recipe booklet online. But basically, you put all your ingredients in here: the dates, the cashews, the coconut powder, and what makes this really delicious is cardamom and orange zest and a pinch of salt. So you put them all in there and you blitz them until they reach a crumbly, as you can see, consistency. And this is just fine. You don't want to go any further and make it into a paste. Once you reach this, you can pulse, or you can get it going a little bit more. But if you do it consistently and continuously, it might really turn into a paste, which you don't want for this recipe. So basically then, once it's done, you take 1 tablespoon at a time. I'm going to turn here because I already have a messy cutting board here. And you take them in your hand and just give them a little squish and make them into little balls. They're perfect bite-sized balls. And there you are. This is what it looks like. And they're done. But I have prepared also 2 different types of covers. This is with orange zest and shredded coconut. And this one has basically the same, but it also has cocoa powder in it. So you get that little bit of chocolate fix that you want. I've prepared 2 examples for you, the coconut shredded one. They look very cute and festive, as if they're little snowballs, but with the orange flake. So there you are. You have your little cardamom, orange, and date treats. And the other ones are with cocoa powder, making a mess here. So this is as easy as 1, 2, 3. To this mix, you can also add, to your liking, pinyanshi wants, cocoa powder. So the entire little treat has the chocolatey goodness in it. This time I have it. I tried it on the outside, but it's as good with chocolate inside. So to the recipe I've given in the recipe booklet, you can add about 1/4 of a cup of cocoa powder, or try with less because you can adjust the taste to your liking. The second recipe I have today is a caramel substitute. And here it is. This is just amazing. It's got all the caramelly sweetness of the halas dates, together with some soy milk, and you can use whatever plant-based milk you like, and a little bit of salt. So if you're salt-free, this may not be a recipe for you. However, it is as good without salt as well. But that salty caramel goodness that we so like is amazing. So for this one, I use I'll get my little gizmo. I use the small attachment of my high-speed blender, and I tried something new. You can do it, of course, with dates. You need to pit them if you buy them not already pitted. I did that this morning. I clean mine. Um, but here I have the, I guess, luxury or the pleasure of finding um, date paste. This stuff is like really tough. It's very, very thick and condensed. So it's hard working with it, even in a high-speed blender. But it was a experiment. And I used half a cup of this very, very concentrated date paste and about 3/4 of a cup of, it was basically 10 tablespoons of soy milk. And I started with 6 and I kept adding and adding and adding. And finally at 10 tablespoons, it worked. So I had half a cup of the very thick date paste, 10 tablespoons of soy milk, and about 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt. And I blitzed it till it's really creamy. And you get this amazing caramel substitute. No butter, no sugar, no added processed sugar. The dates are sugary enough. And this stuff is good as is. You can like really eat it almost like a pudding. But it's also amazing on ice cream. It's amazing on pancakes. You can add it to your oatmeal in the morning. Also, if you go online, there are a lot of recipes using date caramel and going fancier with your recipes. So making things like Mars bars and things like that. So you basically take it and you make a all like that and you freeze it and then you dip them in chocolate and so on. So you never know. I might yet come back with my 3rd episode of sharing date recipes.
Well, there you go. When we do pre-recordings, those things happen. I don't know what happened to Shannon.
Mhm. Yeah, it's all good though.
Did we get the whole thing? It was kind of weird. Oh, oh, very strange. Okay. I don't know what happened. Well, we got, I think she was basically done.
Yeah.
So, this isn't our regular show. So we'll stick around for a couple minutes if there's some questions. I loved seeing these shows again. Thanks so much, Cody, for curating them and picking those out.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun to pick them out. Now I'm hungry again. I ate supper before I started, but now I'm hungry again. That always happens to me when we have these shows.
We're happy to. Oh, we have a. Oh, and I'm so glad Meryl is here. Hello,
Hey,
Meryl.
Meryl.
I think we know you. I was going to say something about you, Meryl. So I'll give you the floor if you want to type something, and then I have something special to say about Meryl Fury, who's another Food for Life instructor. She's in Wisconsin, and she's like Cody, a fabulous nurse. So, oh, so we said hi with 1 exclamation mark. Now hi with 3 exclamation marks. She's doing it from. So hi, hi, hi. So I guess I wanted to just say holidays are a great time to cook, and don't be stressed out about them. Take time and have family participate. Make that part of your socializing. Do you have any advice for people to make healthy food? And of course, eating out. Part of eating out is also great.
Mhm. Yeah, I always think it's fun to like take an old family traditional recipe. Like for me, I did not grow up vegan, so I had a lot of traditional recipes that ran my family, of course. And it's been kind of fun, like a challenge, not really a challenge, but just more of just a fun thing to do for myself and whichever my daughters wants to contribute and work on changing that recipe up by doing some plant alternatives to some of those other products in these recipes. So like, for example, pumpkin pie, we use coconut milk instead of, regular milk or cream or whatever. And it's healthier for you and it's just fun because you can still have your traditional fun foods that bring back those great memories of being around family, but you don't have to worry about those effects of eating animal products. So
I would add another small piece of advice is one of the key things for our show is we're really not a vegan show. We are vegan, but we're healthy, whole food, plant-based, and we talk about limited fat,
Mhm.
not using oil and so forth. So, one of my pieces of advice, and I haven't talked about this in Food for Life classes, but show off all the wonderful foods you can make when you have company. But if there's a dish that you make that you have family who are heavy meat eaters, their palate isn't very vegan focused, and they're used to a lot of fat, they may not acclimate immediately to something which is no added fat. So you might want to, if you have a dish which calls for something which, more fat than maybe some of our recipes have, you might want to include that during the holiday times for your visitors. So we talk about no added fat and having a certain amount of fat in the food you prepare, but it's an overall average. So if you go a little higher during the holidays and then are careful before and after, you should be okay. Of course, talk to a healthcare provider about any major changes in your diet. What do you think about that, Cody?
Yep. Sounds good. Yeah, I know we tend to probably eat more of the heavier plant-based foods, for desserts and stuff, and maybe a little um extra sweeter, but like you said, you kind of, accommodate before and after, a little on the healthier side too, I guess. So and it just depends on the person, if you're battling health issues, you want to be more strict on those things, like the added extra plant-based fats and the extra sugars, you want to maybe watch out for that. Now dates are okay. Dates are packed full of fiber, so you won't get that blood glucose spike like you would with like brown sugar or other sugars like that. So dates are fine. So I think it's great that we had an example of Jonan with her date recipes. So that's a great natural sweetener. So diabetics can have dates. So.
I find, and I think you and I have talked about this, you find the same thing that uh, I find uh, I find I have a much lower tolerance for sweets. So if
Mm-hmm.
I go back to my childhood and think of some of the things my mom would make for me that are just way too sweet, my daughter
Oh,
feels the same way.
mm-hmm.
Growing up with my cooking, when she goes out and
Yeah.
eats even vegan cake, she says, "This is so sweet."
Yeah.
And so if you're used to this, just remember that your guests may not be. So be ready
Mm-hmm.
to have some extra things that you may not normally want to have on hand, little extra maple syrup or something like that. So Meryl has an interesting comment, and that's one thing we wanted to talk about. I wanted to ask you to tell your audience about the 6 Million Seeds Child Nutrition Summit. The link is bit.ly/PBNM-2024-CN Summit. And I'm excited about this because your lovely daughter, one of your lovely daughters was on it. And tomorrow, my lovely daughter and me, I'm going to be supporting her a little bit. It's mostly going to be Anu, will be on
Mm-hmm.
it. So I'm going to
Yeah.
show a
Ava.
graph.
Ava will be on it tomorrow.
Oh, she's on it tomorrow. I thought,
Yeah.
okay, good.
I think
Okay.
it's 10 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time.
Thanks, Meryl. Let me show
Mhm.
you the graphic I have, which apparently you haven't seen, Cody. So
I,
this is
I
the,
you just emailed it to me, so yeah.
okay, yeah. So it looks like it's the 5th through 8th, so it started yesterday. And we know most of these folks here. So for example, that second bubble is my daughter, Anuragini, and myself. That'll be fun. She's going to be making scrambled tofu. And then let's also say a word about Carolyn, you and me. We are on a vegan cruise in January. Uh, and I invite people to, we should probably have a link to it. It's called, what is it called? The Optimal Health Cuisine Cruise,
No, it's the Health Optimization Cruise.
which is where Ava's picture is taken. If you look at hers, two away
Mhm.
from Carolyn, that's on the cruise.
Yep.
And then you can see, I guess that's us. So anyhow, join the summit tomorrow. You'll get to see Ava. I think you said 10 a.m. Eastern
Mhm.
time.
Central.
Central, 10 a.m. Central time, and then
Mhm.
7 p.m. I think Eastern time. Anu and I will be on with her scrambled tofu, and I think Meryl wants Anu. She's gotten Anu's recipe, so Anu will be cooking, and I'll probably be making a side salad and maybe another side dish, and then we'll put our plates together and eat and chat about childhood nutrition. So it should be everything Meryl does is excellent. So it should be an excellent program.
Mhm.
The cruise is interesting because Cody, you, Carol, and I will be doing some cooking on the cruise, and based on that, our January show is so much cheese. So we're using Carolyn's recipes. The three of us will be
Mhm.
making some cheese, all vegan, all healthy. So we'll be recording that and putting that in the January show, January 18th. Our February show is about soul food. Mark Sergvenik has been wanting for years to do a Black History Month show in February, and
Mm,
so that'll be the topic for February.
perfect.
So I hope everybody has a good holiday season. If you have anything to add, Cody, about holiday cooking, or if there's any questions, let's take a final minute and then we'll wrap up.
I would say just make it fun. You know, you and your family have a discussion about, hey, what's your favorite recipe? What would you like to make together? And let's plan some time to do this together. Put some holiday music on. You know, light some scented candles. Just make it a very wonderful memory for you guys. That's what we like to do.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with getting some of your dishes partially made. There's many stores that have fabulous, like we have a co-op I love called Weaver Street Market. They make the best pies. I can never make a pie like they do. So their vegan apple pie is an excellent addition to something
Mhm.
we might make
Maybe that should be your challenge, Dilip, is make a
to,
pie.
to improve my pies.
To make a pie, you and Anu, make a pie together.
Yeah, well, Anu makes pretty good pies. I'm
Oh,
not
she
sure.
does?
I
I
think
didn't know she
she
made
does.
pies.
Yeah, she does. She's made a peach pie. She's made can't remember what kinds of pie. She's made pumpkin pie a bunch.
Uh-huh.
So she makes pretty good pies. So
Awesome.
I know you guys make really good pies.
Yeah, we do. We have some great recipes, but like I said, I've had to adjust them. So
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is fine.
Well, there's a pie I love, the pecan pie, and Weaver Street Market
Mhm.
makes a phenomenal pecan pie, and it's expensive because of all the pecans. So we should make a pecan pie. I make a really good blueberry pie.
Mhm. Good.
Yeah.
It's healthy for you. All those blueberries.
For many years before I was vegan, I taught a vegetarian cooking class, which was practically vegan, and one of the
Mhm.
highlights of that was it's actually a blueberry crisp. It's really, really good.
Oh, yum. That sounds delicious.
And just to remind you, this is what we're doing. We're rebroadcasting. I hope this worked well. Hope you guys like these rebroadcasts. So last Saturday, it was Susanna and I. Susanna curated it,
Mhm.
and then next Thursday is going to be Carolyn and me. Carolyn's curated that last show.
Yeah.
So I hope this was useful, and that I know some of you are watching this after the fact, but hope this will be useful whenever you see it. And I hope that you have a great holiday season, whatever holidays you're celebrating. And keep your suggestions coming. So I didn't mention, but the show after February, March, I think is eggplants.
Mhm.
This eggplant show. I'm not sure we have an April show yet. So let us know if you have any suggestions, and we'll be glad to consider all good suggestions.
Yeah. It's always great to get ideas from people. So yeah, send those suggestions over to us.
Sounds good. So if there's nothing, let's see if I can figure out how to do it. We will sign off. Let's see, there we go. I think I have it. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys soon. Happy holidays.
All right. Thank you. Happy holidays.
So many cooks in the kitchen, so many recipes to share. So many cooks in the kitchen with meals for you to prepare. We've got fruits and grains, veggies and beans, more healthy food than you've ever seen. So many cooks in the kitchen, plant-based meals to prepare. So many cooks in the kitchen with ideas we're happy to share.